I handed the judge one screenshot, just one. She looked at it for maybe 5 seconds, then she looked at my husband, then back at the screenshot. And then she did something I will never forget. She read it out loud, every word in open court. His face went from confident to confused to absolutely gray. The room was silent except for her voice and the sound of his attorney flipping through papers like he could find something to stop what was happening. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Let me know which city you are watching from. What you just heard was the moment 6 years of my life came down to one piece of evidence. One text message, one confession. But to understand why that screenshot mattered, why the judge reacted the way she did, why everyone in that courtroom sat frozen, I need to take you back to where this started. Because the man sitting across from me in that hearing was not always a stranger. And the woman he left me for was not always my enemy. She was my sister. My name is Caroline Mitchell. I am 41 years old. 6 years ago, I was 35 and working night shifts as a surgical nurse at Mercy General Hospital, making $78,000 a year. I was married to a man named Daniel Mitchell. We met when I was 29. He was 28. He was in his second year of medical school at Stanford, and I was a floor nurse at the university hospital. He was brilliant. Everyone said so. His professors loved him. He had this way of explaining complex procedures that made everything sound simple. I fell in love with him in about 3 weeks. We were married 4 months later. Small ceremony, just his parents and my family. My younger sister Melissa was my maid of honor. She was 24 then. She cried during the vows. I thought it was because she was happy for me. Daniel had 4 more years of medical school ahead of him when we got married, then residency, then fellowship. The timeline was clear. He would not be earning real money for at least 8 years, maybe 10. His parents were comfortable but not wealthy. They helped where they could, but they had 2 other kids to think about. My parents were retired teachers living on fixed income, so the financial responsibility fell to me. I did not mind. I loved him. I believed in him. I picked up extra shifts. I worked 50, sometimes 60 hours a week. I paid for his tuition, his books, his housing, his food, his car insurance. Everything $650,000 over 6 years. I know the exact number because I tracked every payment, every transfer, every loan I took out in my name to cover his expenses. He graduated top of his class in 2022. I was so proud. I took the day off work to be there. I bought a new dress. I sat in the front row next to his parents. Melissa sat next to me. She had just finished her associate degree in graphic design. She was working part-time at a marketing agency making $32,000 a year. She was living with our parents. She wore a blue dress. I remember because it was the same shade as Daniel's tie. When they called his name, I stood up and cheered. His mother cried. His father shook my hand and said thank you. He said I had given their son a future. I believed him. The reception was at a hotel downtown. Daniel's parents paid for it. It was nice. Maybe 200 people. Colleagues from the hospital, his classmates, our families. I was exhausted. I had worked a 12-hour shift the night before and I had not slept, but I stayed, I smiled, I made small talk. I stood next to Daniel while people congratulated him and told him how bright his future was. Nobody mentioned me, not once. It was like I was part of the furniture. I did not care. I was happy for him. I thought we were building something together. Around 9 that night, I went to the bathroom. When I came back, Daniel was not at our table. I looked around. I saw him on the balcony. He was with Melissa. They were standing close, too close. She was laughing. He had his hand on her waist. I walked over. He saw me and stepped back. Melissa turned around. Her face was flushed. She said they were just talking. Daniel said the same thing. I said, okay. I did not make a scene. I told myself I was being paranoid. I was tired. I was seeing things that were not there. We left an hour later. Daniel drove. He talked about his residency interviews. He had 3 lined up, all prestigious programs. He asked if I would be okay moving if he matched somewhere out of state. I said yes, of course, whatever he needed. 2 weeks later, he matched at a hospital in Boston, Massachusetts General, one of the best programs in the country. He was thrilled. I was happy for him. I started looking at nursing jobs in Boston. I found one at Brigham and Women's Hospital. Same pay, different city. I gave my notice at Mercy General. My manager asked if I was sure. She said I was one of their best nurses. She said they would miss me. I told her my husband's career came first. She nodded. She understood. She had done the same thing for her husband 20 years earlier. She said it was worth it. I believed her. We moved to Boston in July of 2022. Daniel started his residency in August. I started my nursing job the same week. The hours were brutal. Worked 80 to 90 hours a week. I worked 50. We barely saw each other. When we did, he was exhausted. He would come home and collapse on the couch. He did not want to talk. He did not want to go out. He just wanted to sleep. I understood. Residency was hard. I had seen it before. I worked nights so I could be home during the day in case he needed anything. I meal prepped his food for the week. I did his laundry. I paid all the bills. He did not ask me to. I just did it. I wanted to make his life easier. Melissa visited us that November. She said she wanted to see Boston. She stayed for a week. She slept on our couch. Daniel had 4 days off that week. He took her around the city, showed her all the sights. I worked 3 of those 4 days. I did not mind. I thought it was nice that they were getting along. She was my sister. He was my husband. I wanted them to be close. On her last night there, we all had dinner together. Italian place in the North End. Daniel picked it. He and Melissa sat across from me. They ordered the same thing. Casio y Pepe, they laughed about it. They kept finishing each other's sentences. I felt something twist in my stomach, but I ignored it. I was being paranoid again. I was tired. I had worked 6 nights in a row. I was seeing things. Melissa left the next morning. Daniel drove her to the airport. He was gone for 3 hours. The airport was 40 minutes away. When he came back, I asked if there was traffic. He said yes. I believed him. That night, he told me he was thinking about extending his residency, adding an extra year to specialize in cardiothoracic surgery. It would mean more time, more money, more debt, but it would set him up for a better career. I asked how much more. He said another $200,000. I sat there on the couch staring at the TV. I did not know what to say. I had already given everything I had. I had taken out loans in my name because his credit was maxed. I was paying $1,700 a month just in loan interest. I worked nights. I never saw him, and now he wanted more. He said he understood if I could not do it. He said he would find another way. He looked at me with those eyes, and I caved. I told him we would figure it out. He kissed me on the forehead. He said I was amazing. He said he did not deserve me. I agreed to take on more shifts. I worked 65 hours a week. I stopped buying new clothes. I stopped going out with coworkers. I ate leftovers from the hospital cafeteria. I saved every dollar I could. I transferred money to his account every 2 weeks like clockwork. He never said thank you. He stopped saying thank you after the first year. Melissa started calling him more often. She would FaceTime him while I was at work. I know because I saw the call logs on our shared phone plan. 3 times a week, sometimes more, 40 minutes, an hour. I asked him about it once. He said she was going through a rough breakup and needed someone to talk to. I asked why she was not calling me. He said I was always working. He was right. I let it go. In February of 2023, Daniel told me his parents were having their 40th anniversary party. It was going to be in California, big event, all the family. He wanted to go. I checked the schedule. I could not get the time off. We were understaffed. People were quitting. I was covering double shifts just to keep the unit running. I told him to go without me. He said he did not want to go alone. I suggested Melissa could go with him. Keep him company, represent my side of the family. He thought that was a great idea. I bought both their tickets. I paid for the hotel. I transferred him $800 for expenses. He left on a Thursday. He was gone for 5 days. I worked all 5 days, 12-hour shifts. I came home to an empty apartment and microwaved leftovers in silence. He called me once, on Saturday, the actual anniversary party. He was drunk. I could hear music in the background. Laughter. Melissa's voice. He told me he missed me. He hung up after 2 minutes. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. I did not cry. I was too tired to cry. They came back on Tuesday. I picked them up from the airport. They were laughing when they walked out of baggage claim. Melissa had her hand on his arm. She pulled it away when she saw me. Daniel hugged me. He smelled like perfume, not mine. I did not say anything. We drove home. Melissa sat in the back. She was quiet. When we dropped her off at her hotel, she thanked me for the trip. She said it was really special. I said I was glad she had fun. She looked at Daniel. He looked at her. It lasted 2 seconds, maybe 3. Then she got out of the car and went inside. That night, Daniel told me he wanted to talk. He sat me down on the couch. He said he had been thinking a lot about us, about our future, about what he wanted. He said he loved me, but he was not in love with me anymore. He said we had grown apart. He said it was nobody's fault. He said he thought we should separate. I sat there. I did not move. I asked him if there was someone else. He said no. He was lying. I knew he was lying. I asked him again. He got defensive. He said I was being paranoid. He said I was always paranoid. He said that was part of the problem. I asked what the problem was. He said I worked too much. I was never home. We did not connect anymore. I stared at him. I asked him why I worked so much. He did not answer. I told him I was not leaving. He said that was fine. He would leave. He packed a bag. He said he was going to stay with a friend. He left that night. I sat on the couch in the dark until sunrise. I did not cry. I still did not cry. I went to work the next day. I worked my shift. I came home. He was not there. His stuff was gone, not all of it, just enough clothes, toiletries, his laptop. I called him. He did not answer. I called Melissa. She answered on the first ring. I asked if she knew where Daniel was. She said no. She asked if we were okay. I said I did not know. She said she was sorry. She sounded like she meant it. I believed her. Daniel moved out in March of 2023. He filed for separation in April. He did not ask for anything. He just wanted out. I asked him one more time if there was someone else. He said no. I hired a lawyer. Her name was Catherine Stone. She worked at a family law firm in downtown Boston. She was 53 years old. She had been practicing for 28 years. She had seen everything. I sat in her office and told her the whole story. The 6 years, the $650,000, the loans in my name, the night shifts, the empty apartment. She listened. She did not interrupt. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. She asked if I had records. I said yes, bank statements, loan documents, tuition receipts, transfer confirmations, everything. She asked if Daniel had contributed financially during our marriage. I said no. Not a dollar, she nodded. She said we had a case. Catherine filed a response to the separation in May. She included a demand for reimbursement, $650,000 plus interest. Daniel's attorney laughed. He called it absurd. He said I had given the money willingly. It was a gift. Catherine said it was not. It was an investment in a marital asset, his education, his future earning potential. She cited case law. She sent over the records. Daniel's attorney stopped laughing. Countered with an offer, $50,000 one-time payment. Catherine showed me the email. I told her no. She smiled. She said good. In June, I got a message from Melissa. She said she needed to talk to me. She asked if we could meet for coffee. I said okay. We met at a Starbucks near my apartment. She looked nervous. She ordered a latte. I ordered black coffee. We sat by the window. She did not make eye contact. She told me she had something to confess. She said she had been talking to Daniel. A lot. More than she should have. She said feelings developed. She said she did not mean for it to happen. She said she felt terrible. She said she wanted to be honest with me. I asked her when it started. She said after the graduation. I asked if they had slept together. She said no, not yet, not yet. Those were her words. I stood up. I left my coffee on the table. I walked out. She followed me. She grabbed my arm. She said she was sorry. She said she loved me. She said she never wanted to hurt me. Pulled my arm away. I told her to stay away from me. I told her to stay away from Daniel. She started crying. I did not. I walked to my car. I drove home. I blocked her number. 2 weeks later, I saw them together. I was leaving the hospital after a night shift. It was 6 in the morning. I was in the parking garage. I saw Daniel's car. I recognized the license plate. He was sitting in the driver's seat. Melissa was in the passenger seat. They were kissing. I stood there for a full. They did not see me. I took out my phone. I took 3 pictures. I got in my car. I drove home. I called Catherine. I told her what I saw. She asked if I had proof. I sent her the pictures. She said this changed everything. Catherine amended our filing in July. She added infidelity. She added emotional distress. She added Melissa's name. Daniel's attorney called it a witch hunt. He said we had no grounds. Catherine sent him the pictures. He went quiet for 2 weeks. Then he came back with a new offer. $150,000, final offer. Catherine asked what I wanted to do. I told her to say no. She did. In August, Daniel moved in with Melissa. They did not hide it anymore. They posted pictures on social media, dinner dates, weekend trips. She tagged him in everything. She used heart emojis. I did not look at her page anymore, but my mother called me. She was crying. She said she did not know what to say. She said Melissa told her they were in love. She said Melissa said it just happened. She asked if I was okay. I said yes. I was lying. She asked if I wanted to come home for a while. I said no, I had to work. She said she understood. She said she loved me. I said I loved her too. I hung up. I sat on my couch in my empty apartment and I realized something. I was not sad. I was angry. I called Catherine the next day. I told her I wanted everything, every dollar, every record, every text message, every receipt. I wanted to bury him. She asked if I was sure. I said yes. She said, okay, let's build the case. For the next 6 months, I became a detective. I went through every bank statement from the last 6 years. I categorized every expense, tuition, housing, food, transportation, medical, everything. I built a spreadsheet. Catherine loved spreadsheets. I cross-referenced loan documents with payment schedules. I pulled credit reports. I found accounts I did not know existed. A credit card in Daniel's name that I had paid off twice. A car loan I had cossined. I documented everything. I made copies. I stored them in 3 separate locations: cloud, external drive, physical binder. I went through our phone records, 6 years of data. I found the pattern. Calls to Melissa started in November of 2021, a year before his graduation. They were short at first, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. By January of 2022, they were 30 minutes, 45 minutes. By March, they were over an hour, multiple times a week. I printed the records, I highlighted the calls, I added them to the binder. I pulled our text messages. I had to request them from the phone carrier. It took 4 weeks. When they arrived, I read all of them, every single one. There were thousands. Most were mundane, grocery lists, schedule confirmations, but there were gaps, long gaps, days where we did not text at all. I cross-referenced those gaps with the phone calls to Melissa. They matched every time. I added that to the binder too. Catherine requested Daniel's financial records through discovery. His attorney resisted. Catherine filed a motion to compel. The judge granted it. Daniel had to turn everything over. When the records arrived, Catherine called me into her office. She spread them out on the conference table. She showed me his bank statements from the last 2 years. There were deposits I did not recognize. $5,000 in March of 2023, $3,000 in April, $7,500 in June. I asked where they came from. Catherine pointed to the memo line. Gift, gift, gift. I asked from who. She showed me the sender information, Melissa. I sat there staring at the statements. Melissa had been giving him money while he was married to me, while I was paying his bills, while I was working 65 hours a week. She was giving him money. I asked Catherine what this meant. She said it meant they were planning this, long before he asked for the separation, long before he moved out. They were building a financial cushion together. I asked if we could use this. She smiled. She said, absolutely. I started documenting his current income. He was finishing his residency. He was making $62,000 a year, not much, but he had already accepted a fellowship position starting in July of 2024. Cardiothoracic surgery, Massachusetts General, starting salary $340,000. Catherine ran projections. Over the course of his career, he would make somewhere between 12 and $18 million, all because of the education I paid for. She added that to our filings. In October of 2023, I found his laptop. He had left it at the apartment months ago. I had packed it in a box with his other stuff. I opened it. I did not know his password, but I tried a few combinations. His mother's birthday, his dog's name, nothing worked. Then I tried Melissa's birthday. It opened. I sat there staring at the desktop. I felt sick. Password was her birthday. I went through his files, emails, documents, photos. I found a folder labeled personal. Inside were text message screenshots. Hundreds of them, messages between him and Melissa. I read them all. They went back to November of 2021, just like the phone records showed. The early ones were innocent, talking about family, holidays, his stress about school. Then they shifted. By January of 2022, they were flirting. By March, they were explicit. I will not repeat what they said, but it was clear. This was not something that just happened. This was planned, intentional, deliberate. One message stood out. It was from April of 2022, a month before his graduation. Melissa wrote, "When are you going to tell her?" Daniel wrote back, "After I graduate. I need her to finish paying for school first, then I'm done." I took a screenshot. I saved it to a flash drive. I saved it to the cloud. I printed it. I put it in the binder. I called Catherine. I told her what I found. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Caroline, this is it. This is everything we need." The divorce proceedings moved slowly. Daniel's attorney kept filing delays, requesting extensions, asking for continuances. Catherine said it was a stall tactic. They were hoping I would give up, accept a lower settlement, move on. I told her I was not going anywhere. She said, "Good." In December of 2023, my mother called. She said she wanted to have Christmas together. As a family, me, her, my father, Melissa, Daniel. I told her no. She said we needed to move past this. She said Melissa was my sister. She said family was forever. I asked if she had seen the evidence. She said she did not need to see it. She said whatever happened between Daniel and Melissa was between them. She said I needed to forgive. I told her I had nothing to forgive. I had not done anything wrong. She sighed. She said I was being difficult. I hung up. I spent Christmas alone. I worked a double shift. When I got home, I ordered Chinese food and watched a movie. My phone buzzed around 8. It was a text from a number I did not recognize. I opened it. It was a photo. Melissa and Daniel, Christmas dinner, my parents' house. They were smiling. Melissa was wearing a red dress. Daniel had his arm around her. My mother was in the background setting the table. The text said, "Wish you were here." I deleted it. I blocked the number. I went to bed. In January of 2024, Catherine filed a motion for a hearing date. She said we had everything we needed. She said it was time. The judge scheduled it for March 15th, 8 weeks away. Catherine started preparing. She built timelines. She organized exhibits. She deposed Daniel. She deposed Melissa. She requested their text messages, their emails, their financial records. She was relentless. Daniel's attorney tried one last settlement offer. $250,000, no admission of wrongdoing, case closed. Catherine brought it to me. She said it was not a bad offer. She said going to court was a risk. Judges were unpredictable. I could get more, I could get less, I could get nothing. I asked her what she thought. She said she thought we would win. I told her to reject the offer. February was the longest month of my life. I could not sleep. I worked my shifts on autopilot. I kept thinking about the hearing. About standing in a courtroom, about seeing Daniel again, about seeing Melissa, about my parents, about what would happen when the judge read that screenshot, the one that said, "I need her to finish paying for school first, then I'm done." Catherine called me 2 weeks before the hearing. She said Daniel's attorney wanted to talk off the record. She said he wanted to know if we would consider mediation, avoid the courtroom, work something out privately. I asked why. She said because they knew what we had. They knew how bad it looked. They were scared. I told her no. I wanted the hearing. I wanted it on record. I wanted everyone to hear what he did. She said okay. The night before the hearing, I could not eat. I tried. I made soup. I sat at my kitchen table with the bowl in front of me. I took one spoonful. I felt nauseous. I poured it down the sink. I went to bed at 7. I did not sleep. I stared at the ceiling. I thought about the last 6 years, the night shifts, the loans. Empty apartment, the pictures in the parking garage, the text message. "I need her to finish paying for school first, then I'm done." I got up at 5. I showered. I put on a navy suit. Catherine told me to look professional, confident, put together. I did my hair. I put on minimal makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked tired. I looked older, but I looked ready. I drove to the courthouse. I parked in the garage. I sat in my car for 10 minutes. I thought about turning around. About calling Catherine and telling her to take the settlement, about ending this. But then I thought about that screenshot. I thought about his face when the judge read it out loud. I got out of the car. Catherine met me in the lobby. She was wearing a gray suit. She had a leather briefcase. She looked calm. She asked if I was ready. I said yes. We took the elevator to the 3rd floor, family court. The hallway was crowded, people waiting for their cases, attorneys talking in hushed voices. I saw Daniel at the end of the hall. He was with his attorney, a man in his 50s, expensive suit. He saw me. He looked away. Melissa was there too, sitting on a bench. She was wearing a black dress. She looked nervous. She was picking at her nails. My mother was next to her. My father was standing by the window. They did not see me, or they pretended not to. I did not care. The bailiff called our case at 9:30. We walked into the courtroom. It was smaller than I expected, wood paneling. Fluorescent lights, the judge was already seated, a woman in her 60s, Judge Patricia Harmon. Catherine had told me about her. 26 years on the bench, fair, no nonsense, did not tolerate games. We sat at our table. Daniel and his attorney sat at theirs. The bailiff asked us to rise. Judge Harmon reviewed the files. She asked if both parties were present. We said yes. She asked if we had attempted mediation. Daniel's attorney said yes. Multiple times, she asked why we were here. Catherine stood, she said, because the defendant refused to acknowledge his financial obligation to my client. Judge Harmon nodded. She said, let's hear it. Catherine started with the timeline. She walked the judge through our marriage, the 6 years, the $650,000, the loans, the night shifts, the lack of financial contribution from Daniel. She submitted the bank statements, the loan documents, the tuition receipts. Judge Harmon reviewed them. She asked Daniel's attorney if he disputed any of it. He said no. The facts were accurate, but he said I had given the money willingly, as a spouse. It was not a loan, it was support. Catherine smiled. She said that would be true if the marriage had been entered in good faith. She said it was not. She submitted the phone records, the text message screenshots from his laptop, the deposits from Melissa. Judge Harmon read them. Her expression did not change. She asked Daniel's attorney if he had seen these. He said yes. He said they were taken out of context. Catherine asked if she could approach. Judge Harmon said yes. Catherine handed her a single piece of paper, the screenshot, the one I had found on his laptop, the one from April of 2022. Melissa's message, when are you going to tell her? Daniel's response, after I graduate. I need her to finish paying for school first. Then I'm done. Judge Harmon read it. She read it again. She looked at Daniel. She looked at his attorney. Then she looked at me. She asked if I was the one who paid for his education. I said, yes, Your Honor, every dollar. She asked if he had ever repaid me. I said, no, Your Honor. She asked if he had ever intended to repay me. I looked at Daniel. He would not look back. I said, no, Your Honor. Based on that message, I do not believe he ever intended to stay married to me at all. Judge Harmon set the paper down. She leaned back in her chair. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said she wanted to read something into the record. She picked up the screenshot, and she read it out loud in open court, every word. When are you going to tell her? After I graduate. I need her to finish paying for school first. Then I'm done. The courtroom was completely still. Nobody moved. Daniel's attorney had stopped writing. My mother had her hand over her mouth. Melissa was staring at the floor. Daniel was frozen. His face had gone from normal to pale to almost translucent. Judge Harmon finished reading. She set the paper down. She looked at him for a long time. Then she said, Dr. Mitchell, is this your statement? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. His attorney leaned over. They whispered. Daniel finally said, yes, Your Honor, but it was not what it sounds like. Judge Harmon held up her hand. She said, I think it sounds exactly like what it is. She turned to Catherine. She asked what we were seeking. Catherine said full reimbursement of educational expenses, $650,000 plus interest, plus damages for emotional distress and fraud. Total amount just under $900,000. Daniel's attorney stood. He said that was unreasonable. He said Daniel was still in training. He said he did not have that kind of money. Judge Harmon asked about his fellowship, his starting salary, his future earning potential. Daniel's attorney hesitated. He said the fellowship started in 4 months. Starting salary $340,000 annually. Judge Harmon did the math. She said so within 3 years he would have earned over $1 million. Because of the education Mrs. Mitchell paid for. She asked if that was correct. Daniel's attorney said yes, but she cut him off. She said there was no, but she said the evidence was clear. She said Daniel had used Caroline Mitchell to fund his education with no intention of honoring the marriage. She said that constituted fraud. She said it constituted unjust enrichment. She said Caroline Mitchell was entitled to reimbursement. She asked if there were any other assets. Catherine said yes. Daniel currently had $73,000 in savings, joint money from his residency, gifts from family, including deposits from Melissa Hart. Judge Harmon raised her eyebrows. She asked if Melissa Hart was present. Melissa stood. Her hands were shaking. Judge Harmon asked if she had given Daniel money during his marriage to Caroline. Melissa said yes. Judge Harmon asked why. Melissa said because he needed help. Judge Harmon asked if she knew he was married. Melissa did not answer. Judge Harmon asked again. Melissa said yes. Judge Harmon nodded. She said she was ordering the following. Daniel Mitchell would pay Caroline Mitchell $650,000, paid in full within 5 years, starting immediately upon the commencement of his fellowship position. Monthly payments of $11,000 until the debt was satisfied. He would also surrender the $73,000 in his savings account immediately. That brought the total owed down to $577,000, plus 10% annual interest on the remaining balance. Daniel's attorney tried to object. Judge Harmon said the objection was noted and overruled. She said if Dr. Mitchell felt this was unfair, he should have considered that before committing fraud. She signed the order. She said the divorce was granted. She said we were done. She stood, everyone stood. She walked out. I sat down. My legs felt weak. Catherine put her hand on my shoulder. She said, we won. I nodded. I could not speak. Across the room, Daniel was arguing with his attorney. His attorney was shaking his head. Melissa was crying. My mother was trying to comfort her. My father was just standing there, staring at nothing. Catherine packed her briefcase. She said the 73,000 would be transferred within 72 hours. The monthly payments would start in July when his fellowship began. She said if he missed even one payment, we could go after his wages, garnish his income. She said he would pay one way or another. I thanked her. She said I earned this. She said I should be proud. I walked out of the courtroom. I did not look at Daniel. I did not look at Melissa. I did not look at my parents. I walked down the hall. I took the elevator. I walked to my car. I sat in the driver's seat. And then finally, after 6 years of night shifts and loans and silence and anger, I cried. But they were not sad tears. They were not defeated tears. They were relief. They were vindication. They were the tears of someone who had just won a war she had been fighting alone for half a decade. I drove home. I walked into my apartment. I sat on my couch. I looked around. The space felt different, lighter, like something heavy had been lifted. I pulled out my phone. I had 17 missed calls. 3 from my mother, 2 from Melissa. 12 from numbers I did not recognize. I deleted them all. I blocked my mother's number. I blocked my father's number. I had already blocked Melissa months ago. I ordered pizza. I opened a bottle of wine. I sat on my couch and I watched the sunset through my window, and for the first time in 6 years, I felt like I could breathe. The $73,000 hit my account 3 days later. I paid off 2 of my loans. I put the rest in savings. The first monthly payment arrived in July. $11,000, right on schedule. It has arrived every month since. He has not missed one. I do not think he will. Catherine made sure of that. I never spoke to Melissa again. I never spoke to my parents again. They made their choice. They chose her. They chose him. They can live with that. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Melissa and Daniel are still together. They got engaged last year. I do not care. They deserve each other. I'm still working as a nurse. I picked up some day shifts. I sleep better now. I bought a new car, nothing fancy, just reliable. I took a vacation, first one in 7 years. I went to Iceland. I saw the northern lights. I hiked a glacier. I ate at expensive restaurants. I did not think about Daniel once. I am not angry anymore. I am not sad. I am not bitter. I am free. And that screenshot that Judge Harmon read out loud, the one that destroyed him in open court. The one that got me everything I was owed. I have it framed in my office, right next to my nursing degree. A reminder that I am never going to let anyone use me like that again, that I am worth more, that I fought back, and that I won. I thought that was the end of the story. I thought I could move on. I was wrong. 3 months after the hearing, I got a call from Catherine. She said Daniel had missed his August payment. I checked my account. Nothing. I called her back. She said she would file a motion for enforcement. She did. The judge ordered him to pay within 10 days or face contempt charges. He paid, but he was 2 weeks late. Catherine said it was a warning sign. She said we needed to watch him closely. In September, he paid on time, October 2, but in November, he missed again. This time, Catherine did not wait. She filed for wage garnishment. The judge approved it. Starting in December, $11,000 would come directly from his paycheck before he ever saw it. He could not miss. He could not delay. It was automatic. That should have been the end. But in January of 2025, I got a message on LinkedIn from Melissa. I had not blocked her there. I did not even know she had an account. The message said, "We need to talk. It's important about the payments." I stared at it for a full minute, then I deleted it. I did not respond. 2 days later, she showed up at the hospital. She was waiting in the parking lot when my shift ended. It was 6 in the morning. I walked out and there she was, leaning against my car. She looked terrible, thinner, dark circles under her eyes. She was wearing jeans and an oversized sweater. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked nothing like the woman in the red dress at Christmas. I stopped walking. She saw me. She pushed off the car. She said my name. I did not respond. I walked past her. She followed. She said, "Caroline, please, I need to talk to you." I unlocked my car. She put her hand on the door. I looked at her hand, then at her face. I said, "Move." She did not. She said Daniel is drowning. The garnishment is taking everything. We can't afford rent. We can't afford food. We're living off credit cards. I said that sounds like a him problem. I got in my car. She stepped back. I drove away. I called Catherine that afternoon. I told her what happened. She said Melissa had no legal standing. She could not negotiate on Daniel's behalf. She could not modify the court order. If Daniel had a problem, he needed to file a motion himself with his own attorney. Catherine said the payments were court-ordered. They were not optional. If Daniel could not afford his lifestyle, that was his choice. He could get a second job. He could move to a cheaper apartment. He could ask his parents for help. That was not my concern, but Melissa did not stop. She called me. I blocked her number. She emailed me. I sent it to spam. She showed up at the hospital again. I had security escort her off the property. She sent me a letter. I threw it away without opening it. She was relentless, and I realized something. She was scared. In March, Catherine called me. She said she had received a motion from Daniel's attorney. He was requesting a modification of the payment terms. He claimed financial hardship. He said the $11,000 monthly payment was excessive. He said it left him unable to meet his basic living expenses. He was asking the judge to reduce it to $5,000 per month and extend the repayment period to 10 years. Catherine asked what I wanted to do. I told her to fight it. She said we would. She requested his financial records, his bank statements, his credit card bills, his pay stubs, everything. When they arrived, she spread them out on her desk. She called me in. She showed me the numbers. Daniel was making $28,000 a month gross. After taxes, around $19,000. After the garnishment, $8,000. His rent was $3,200. For a two-bedroom apartment in downtown Boston. Catherine raised her eyebrows. She said he could move. He was choosing not to. His car payment was $600 for a BMW. She said he could sell it. His credit card bills totaled $4,100 a month, minimum payments. She went through the charges: restaurants, bars, clothing, a gym membership that cost $200 a month, subscriptions to streaming services, a wine club. He was living like he made six figures. But he was making $8,000 a month after the garnishment. Catherine said this was not financial hardship. This was financial mismanagement. She said the judge would see that. She drafted a response. She included his spending records. She highlighted the unnecessary expenses. She pointed out that he was living with Melissa, who was working, who could contribute. She filed it 3 days before the hearing. The hearing was scheduled for April 9th. I took the day off work. I met Catherine at the courthouse. Daniel was already there. Melissa was with him. She would not look at me. Daniel looked angry. His attorney looked tired. We went into the courtroom. Same judge, Patricia Harmon. She reviewed the motion. She reviewed Catherine's response. She asked Daniel's attorney to explain the financial hardship. He stood. He said Dr. Mitchell was a young physician still in training. He said the garnishment took more than half his take-home pay. He said it was unsustainable. Said Dr. Mitchell was falling behind on his bills. He was accruing debt. He needed relief. Judge Harmon asked about the spending, the restaurants, the car, the apartment. Daniel's attorney said those were reasonable expenses for a professional in his position. Judge Harmon looked at him. She said a $600 car payment was not reasonable for someone claiming poverty. She asked why Dr. Mitchell had not downsized. Daniel's attorney said he needed reliable transportation for his work. Judge Harmon said a Toyota was reliable transportation. A BMW was a luxury. She asked about the rent. $3,200 a month. Daniel's attorney said it was close to the hospital. Judge Harmon asked if there were cheaper apartments close to the hospital. He hesitated. He said yes, but the area was not as safe. Judge Harmon said so Dr. Mitchell wanted to live in a luxury building and have someone else pay for it. Daniel's attorney did not respond. Judge Harmon turned to Daniel. She asked if he was living alone. He said no. He lived with his fiancée. She asked if his fiancée worked. He said yes. She asked how much she made. Daniel looked at his attorney. His attorney said he did not have that information. Judge Harmon said that was convenient. She asked Melissa to stand. Melissa stood. Her hands were shaking. Judge Harmon asked her directly, "How much do you make per year?" Melissa said $51,000. Judge Harmon asked if she contributed to the rent. Melissa said yes, half. Judge Harmon did the math out loud, so $1,600, leaving Dr. Mitchell responsible for $1,600, not $3,200. She asked if that was correct. Melissa said yes. Judge Harmon leaned back. She said so Dr. Mitchell's actual rent obligation was $1,600. His actual car payment was $600. His actual necessary expenses were maybe $3,000 a month, leaving him $5,000 after the garnishment for discretionary spending. She said that did not sound like hardship. That sounded like someone who wanted to maintain a lifestyle he could not afford. Daniel stood up. He said, "Your Honor, with all respect, I paid for my own education. I earned my degree." Judge Harmon cut him off. She said, "No, Dr. Mitchell, you did not. Your ex-wife paid for your education, with money she earned working night shifts while you studied. That is what this court determined. That is what the evidence showed. You defrauded her, you used her, and now you are asking this court to let you keep more of the money you are earning because of the education she paid for so you can drive a luxury car and live in a luxury apartment with the woman you cheated on her with." The courtroom went completely silent. Daniel's face turned red. He started to speak. Judge Harmon held up her hand. She said she had heard enough. The motion was denied. The payment terms would remain as ordered, $11,000 per month until the debt was satisfied. If Dr. Mitchell could not afford his current lifestyle, he needed to make different choices. The hearing was over. Catherine packed her briefcase. She did not say anything. She did not need to. We walked out together. In the hallway, Melissa was crying. Daniel was yelling at his attorney. My mother was there. I had not seen her in the courtroom. She must have been in the back. She walked up to me. She said, "Caroline, please, this has gone too far. He can't survive like this." I looked at her. I said, "He's making $28,000 a month. He'll survive." She said, "You're destroying him." I said, "He destroyed himself." I walked away. I got in my car. I sat there for a minute. I felt something I had not felt before, not anger, not satisfaction, just tired. I was tired of fighting, tired of defending myself, tired of being the villain in their story. I started the car. I drove home. But Melissa still did not stop. In May, she tried a different approach. She reached out to my father. He called me. I answered. I do not know why. Maybe I was hoping he would surprise me. He did not. He said Melissa was struggling. Daniel was struggling. They were trying to build a life together. I was making it impossible. He said I had every right to be hurt, but at some point I needed to let it go. I asked him if he had read the court transcripts. He said he did not need to. He said he knew his daughters. He knew I was a good person. He said good people forgave. I was quiet for a long time. Then I said, Dad, do you know how much money I gave Daniel? He said he did not know the exact amount. I said $650,000. He did not respond. I said, do you know how I got that money? He said, I worked hard. I said, I worked nights for 6 years. I took out loans in my name. I destroyed my credit. I never took a vacation. I never bought new clothes. I ate hospital cafeteria leftovers. I did all of that because I loved him, because I believed in him, because I thought we were building a future together. I said, and the whole time he was planning to leave me. He told Melissa he just needed me to finish paying for school. Then he was done. Those were his words, Dad. Then I'm done. My father was quiet. I said Melissa knew. She gave him money while he was still married to me. She helped him plan his exit, and you want me to forgive them. Said Caroline, they made a mistake. I said, no, Dad, a mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is a bad investment. What they did was calculated. It was deliberate. It was cruel, and I am not going to apologize for holding them accountable. He said I sounded bitter. I said I sounded like someone who respected herself. I hung up. I blocked his number 2. In June, Daniel paid late again. 3 days late. Catherine filed immediately. The judge added a penalty, $1,000. Added to the balance with interest. Catherine sent me the order. She said if he kept this up, he would owe more than he started with. I did not respond. I did not care about the money anymore. I just wanted him to understand that actions had consequences. In July, Melissa sent me one final message. She used a mutual friend's Facebook account. The message was long. She said she was sorry. She said she knew what they did was wrong. She said she loved Daniel. She said she could not help it. She said feelings were not logical. She said I deserved better. She said she hoped one day I could forgive her. She said we were still sisters. She said family was supposed to be forever. I read it 3 times, then I responded. I said, Melissa, you are not sorry you hurt me. You are sorry you are facing consequences. You are sorry Daniel is paying me instead of funding your lifestyle. You are sorry people know what you did, but you are not sorry you did it, because if you were sorry, you would have stopped. You had 1,000 chances to stop. Every phone call, every text, every deposit you made into his account while he was married to me. You chose him every single time, and now you want me to choose you, to let this go, to make your life easier. And I am telling you no. I said you asked if we are still sisters. We are not. Sisters protect each other. Sisters show up. Sisters do not sleep with each other's husbands. You are a stranger to me. You made that choice. Now live with it. I blocked the account. I have not heard from her since. The payments kept coming, every month, sometimes on time, sometimes late. When they were late, Catherine filed. The penalties added up. By October of 2025, Daniel owed more than he had in March. The interest was compounding. The penalties were stacking. Catherine said at this rate he would be paying me for 8 years instead of 5. I told her that was fine. In November, I got a message from Daniel directly. He used a new email address. I do not know how he got mine. The email was short. It said, Caroline, I know you hate me. I deserve that, but this is killing me. I am drowning. I cannot sleep. I cannot focus at work. I am making mistakes. I almost killed a patient last week because I was so distracted. Please, I am begging you. Can we work something out? Anything. I will do anything. I stared at the email for 10 minutes. I thought about responding. I thought about telling him how those 6 years felt, how it felt to work 65 hours a week, how it felt to eat leftover cafeteria food while he went out with Melissa, how it felt to find that screenshot, to see those words. Then I'm done. I thought about all of that. Then I deleted the email. I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. By December, the payments were automatic. $11,000, first of every month. I stopped checking. Catherine sent me quarterly updates. The balance was going down slowly, but it was going down. She said we were on track to have it paid off by 2029, maybe 2030 if he kept paying late. I started thinking about what I would do when it was over, when the last payment came through, when I never had to think about Daniel Mitchell again. I thought maybe I would take that money and start something new, a business, a foundation, something that mattered, something that was mine. But then in January of 2026, something shifted. I got a call from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. It was a woman's voice, professional, clipped. She said her name was Dr. Renee Garrison. She was the chief of surgery at Massachusetts General. She said she needed to speak with me about Dr. Daniel Mitchell. I asked why. She said there had been an incident, a serious one. She could not discuss details over the phone. She asked if I could come to her office. I told Catherine. She said not to go alone. She came with me. We met Dr. Garrison in her office on a Tuesday afternoon. She was in her late 50s, short gray hair, sharp eyes. She did not waste time. She said Daniel had made a critical error during a procedure 3 days earlier. A patient had died. The family was filing a lawsuit. The hospital was conducting an internal review. During that review, they had discovered a pattern, mistakes, misdiagnoses, delayed responses, all in the last 6 months. She said they had interviewed his colleagues, his supervising physicians. Everyone said the same thing. He was distracted, unfocused, sleep-deprived. One of the nurses said he had fallen asleep in the break room between surgeries. Another said he had snapped at a resident over a minor question. Dr. Garrison said they were concerned. She said they had placed him on administrative leave pending the investigation. She said they had also reviewed his personal financial records as part of the standard background check. They saw the garnishment, the court order, the debt. She said it painted a picture. She asked me directly if I thought the financial stress was affecting his performance. I looked at Catherine. Catherine said, Dr. Garrison, this is highly irregular. You are asking my client to speculate about her ex-husband's mental state. Dr. Garrison said she was asking because a patient died, and if there was a factor contributing to Dr. Mitchell's impairment, the hospital needed to know. I sat there. I thought about that email. I almost killed a patient last week. I thought about saying yes, about confirming that the debt was destroying him, about giving them the ammunition to end his career, about taking everything from him the way he took everything from me. I opened my mouth. Catherine put her hand on mine. She said, we are not commenting. This is not our concern. Dr. Garrison nodded. She said she understood. She thanked us for coming. We left. In the car, Catherine said that was a trap. She said if I had said yes, they could have used it against me, claimed I was vindictive, claimed I was trying to destroy his career out of spite. She said I did the right thing. I nodded, but I felt sick because part of me had wanted to say yes, part of me had wanted to watch him lose everything, and that scared me. 2 weeks later, Daniel's attorney filed another motion. This one was different. He was not asking for a reduction. He was asking for a suspension, temporary, 6 months. He cited the administrative leave, the loss of income, the pending lawsuit. He said Daniel's mental health was deteriorating. He included a letter from a therapist. It said Daniel was experiencing severe anxiety and depression directly related to financial stress. It said the garnishment was exacerbating his condition. It recommended a temporary pause to allow him to stabilize. Catherine called me. She said this was serious. She said if the judge believed Daniel was mentally unstable, the court might grant the suspension. She said we needed to respond carefully. She drafted a reply. She pointed out that Daniel's mental health issues stemmed from his own choices, his fraudulent behavior, his infidelity, his refusal to live within his means. She said a suspension would reward bad behavior. She said it would send a message that if you made yourself sick enough, you could escape accountability. The hearing was scheduled for February 14th. Valentine's Day. The irony was not lost on me. I met Catherine at the courthouse. Daniel was there. He looked worse than I had ever seen him. He had lost weight. His suit hung off his frame. His eyes were sunken. He looked like he had not slept in weeks. Melissa was not with him. I noticed that immediately. We went into the courtroom. Judge Harmon was presiding. She read the motion. She read the therapist's letter. She asked Daniel's attorney to explain. He stood. He said Dr. Mitchell was suffering. He was on leave from his job. He was facing a lawsuit that could end his career. He was barely functioning. The garnishment was pushing him over the edge. He needed time to recover, to get treatment, to stabilize. Then he could resume payments. Judge Harmon asked how long. Daniel's attorney said 6 months, maybe a year. Judge Harmon asked what would happen to the debt during that time. He said it would pause, no payments, no interest, just a freeze. Judge Harmon asked what happened after. He said Dr. Mitchell would resume payments once he returned to work. Judge Harmon turned to Catherine. She asked for our position. Catherine stood. She said, Your Honor, my client has significant concerns about this request. Dr. Mitchell's current mental health crisis is the direct result of his own actions. He chose to defraud my client. He chose to live beyond his means. He chose to prioritize luxury over responsibility. My client worked night shifts for 6 years to pay for his education. She took out loans that damaged her credit. She sacrificed her own well-being to support him, and when he no longer needed her, he discarded her. Now he is asking this court to pause his obligation because facing consequences is hard. That is not how accountability works. She said if the court grants this suspension, it sets a dangerous precedent. It tells people that if you make yourself sick enough, you can escape your debts. It punishes the victim for the perpetrator's choices. My client did not cause Dr. Mitchell's mental health crisis. He did, and she should not be penalized for it. Judge Harmon was quiet for a long time. Then she asked Daniel to stand. He stood. She asked him directly, Dr. Mitchell, do you take responsibility for your actions? He said, Yes, Your Honor. She said, Do you acknowledge that you defrauded your ex-wife? He hesitated. His attorney leaned over. They whispered. Daniel said, Yes, Your Honor. Judge Harmon said, Do you understand that the debt you owe is the direct result of your choices? He said, Yes, Your Honor. She said, Then you understand that your current situation is also the result of your choices. He did not respond. She said, Dr. Mitchell, I have read your therapist's letter. I have reviewed your financial records. I have considered your circumstances, and I am denying your motion. She said the debt would not be paused. The payments would continue. She said if Dr. Mitchell needed help, he should seek it, but he should seek it while still meeting his obligations. She said hardship did not erase responsibility. The hearing was over. Daniel sat down. He put his head in his hands. His attorney closed his briefcase. Catherine and I walked out. In the hallway, I saw Melissa. She was sitting on a bench. When she saw Daniel come out, she stood. She walked over to him. He pushed past her. He did not even look at her. She stood there, frozen. Then she turned and saw me. We locked eyes. For the first time in over a year, we were looking at each other, really looking. I saw something in her face I had not seen before. Regret, real regret, not because she was caught, not because she was suffering, but because she understood. She had destroyed her sister for a man who would not even look at her in a courthouse hallway. I turned away, I left. That night I got a call from my mother. I had not unblocked her number. She must have called from someone else's phone. I answered. She was crying. She said Daniel had tried to kill himself. He had taken pills. Melissa found him. He was in the hospital. They had pumped his stomach. He was stable, but he had tried. She said this was my fault. She said I had pushed him too far. She said I needed to drop the case. I needed to forgive the debt. Before it was too late, I hung up. I called Catherine. I told her what happened. She was quiet. Then she said, Caroline, this is not your fault. You did not put those pills in his hand. He made that choice, just like he made every other choice that led him here. She said if I wanted to stop, we could. The decision was mine, but she said I should think very carefully, because if I stopped now, I would spend the rest of my life wondering if I gave up too soon. I thought about it for 3 days. I did not sleep. I did not eat. I kept thinking about that email. I almost killed a patient. I kept thinking about my mother's voice. This is your fault. I kept thinking about Daniel in a hospital bed, about Melissa finding him, about whether I was responsible. On the third day, I called Catherine. I told her to keep going. She asked if I was sure. I said yes. She said okay. Daniel was released from the hospital a week later. The payments continued, March, April, May, on time, every time. I did not know how. I did not ask. I just watched the numbers go down. In June, I got a letter, not from Daniel, not from Melissa, from my mother. It was handwritten, 4 pages. She said she had been wrong. She said she should have protected me. She said she chose Melissa because Melissa was falling apart and I seemed strong. She said she thought I could handle it. She said she did not realize how much I was carrying. She said she was sorry. She said she wanted to see me, to talk, to try to rebuild something. She said she loved me. She said she had always loved me. She said she just did not know how to show it. I read the letter twice. Then I put it in a drawer. I did not respond. I was not ready. Maybe I never would be. But I kept the letter just in case. The payments kept coming every month, $11,000. The balance dropped below $500,000 in August, below $400,000 in December. By March of 2027, it was under $300,000. Catherine said we were making progress, real progress. She said if Daniel kept paying on time, he would be done by 2029. I said okay. I stopped thinking about it as revenge. I stopped thinking about it as punishment. I started thinking about it as closure. Every payment was 1 month closer to never thinking about Daniel Mitchell again, 1 month closer to being completely free. In April of 2027, I met someone. His name was Michael. He was a paramedic. We met at the hospital. He brought in a patient. I was the attending nurse. We talked. He asked me for coffee. I said yes. We went out. We talked for 3 hours. He was kind. He was funny. He did not ask about my past. When I finally told him, he listened. He did not judge. He did not tell me to let it go. He just said that must have been really hard. I said it was. He said, well, you're here now. That's what matters. I liked that. I liked him. We have been together for 8 months now. He knows about the payments. He knows about the court case. He knows about Daniel and Melissa and my family. He does not try to fix it. He just supports me. That is enough. The payments are still coming every month. The balance is under $200,000 now. Catherine says another year and a half, maybe 2, then it's over. Then I never have to see Daniel's name on a bank statement again. I can close that chapter completely. I think about what I will do when the last payment comes through. I think I will take that money and donate it, set up a scholarship for nurses, something that helps people who are working their way through school, people who are sacrificing for someone else's dream, people like I was. That feels right. That feels like the ending this story deserves. My name is Caroline Mitchell. I am 41 years old. I was married to a man who used me, who lied to me, who left me for my sister. I paid $650,000 for his medical degree while working night shifts and destroying my own health. And when he left me, I could have walked away. I could have accepted it. I could have moved on quietly like everyone wanted me to. But I did not. I fought back. I hired a lawyer. I gathered evidence. I stood in front of a judge and I made him accountable. And I won. It has been 3 years since that hearing. 3 years since Judge Harmon read that screenshot out loud. 3 years since I watched Daniel's face go pale in open court, and I do not regret it, not for a second, because I did not do this for revenge. I did this for me. I did this because I deserved better, because my 6 years mattered, because my sacrifice was real. And because I refused to let someone take everything from me and walk away smiling. The payments will end soon. The debt will be satisfied, and I will finally be free, not just financially, but emotionally. I will close the book on Daniel Mitchell and Melissa and my parents and everyone who told me to let it go. And I will walk into the rest of my life knowing that I stood up for myself, that I did not break, that I fought back, and that I won. If you are in a situation where someone is using you, where someone is taking from you, where someone is telling you that your pain does not matter, I want you to hear this. You deserve better, you deserve accountability, you deserve to fight back, and you deserve to win. Do not let anyone convince you that standing up for yourself makes you bitter or cruel or unforgiving. It does not. It makes you strong. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Share it if you know someone who needs to hear it. And comment freedom below if you are ready to stop setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Your life belongs to you. It is time to start acting like it.